Have you ever felt a strange emptiness, even when you've achieved what you're supposed to? The great career, the nice car, the respect of your peers, and yet a quiet voice inside whispers, "Is this all there is?" This isn't a midlife crisis. According to the legendary psychologist Carl Jung, this is the signal of a deep primal and almost universally unadmitted desire buried in the male psyche. It's not for more money, more sex, or more power. The secret desire every man has but is afraid to voice is the journey of individuation. This feeling of emptiness has a name in Jungian psychology. It is the conflict between the true self and the persona. The persona is the mask we wear to fit into society. It's the collection of roles we play: the reliable provider, the tough competitor, the easygoing friend, the stoic rock. We develop this mask to be accepted, to succeed, and to navigate the world safely. There is nothing inherently wrong with it. It is a necessary social tool. But the danger arrives when we confuse the mask with our own face. We become so adept at performing the role that we lose touch with the person who exists beneath it. The consequence of this over-identification with the persona is a profound inner emptiness. On the outside, life may look perfect, a picture of success and stability. But on the inside, it can feel hollow, as if you are merely going through the motions in a play written by someone else. This is the hollow man phenomenon, where the trappings of success ring empty, because they are achievements for the mask, not for the soul. This disconnect is a primary source of the modern male malaise, the burnout from constantly performing, the anxiety of being found out as an imposter, the depression that comes from a life lacking authentic meaning, and the pervasive sense of being lost without a true north. We feel disconnected because we are disconnected from ourselves. We are adrift because we have been following a map given to us by culture, family, and peers, rather than consulting our own internal compass. The numbness sets in as a protective mechanism, shielding us from the painful realization that we have built a life that looks good but does not feel true. This is the central problem. Many men are living a script written by others, and the secret desire is to finally and courageously start writing their own. This quiet, persistent yearning is not for another trophy on the shelf or another zero in the bank account. It is a far more profound and primal urge, the call to wholeness. In Jung's framework, this is the process of individuation. In simple terms, individuation is the lifelong journey of becoming the unique, indivisible person you were always meant to be. It is not about self-improvement in the typical sense of adding new skills or qualities, but rather about the integration of all the parts of your psyche that already exist, both the light and the dark. The secret desire is not for external validation, but for internal completion. It's the desire to stop being just a fragment of a man, perpetually performing a single note, and to become a whole symphony. The first and most crucial step on this path is the confrontation with the shadow. The shadow is Jung's term for the hidden, repressed, and often unacceptable parts of ourselves. It contains everything we have been taught to disown: our vulnerability, our fears, our raw anger, our deep sadness, our unconventional creativity, and even our so-called feminine traits like intuition and nurturance. We lock these aspects away in the basement of our psyche because they do not fit the perfect image of our persona. A man cannot be whole while he denies his shadow. The tough guy, for instance, has buried his tenderness and capacity for gentle connection. The perpetual nice guy has disowned his healthy assertiveness and his righteous anger, leading to passive aggression and resentment. Individuation demands that we courageously descend into that basement, not to be consumed by the darkness, but to reclaim the vital, powerful energy we left down there. Integrating the shadow doesn't mean acting out every impulse. It means acknowledging these parts, listening to their message, and allowing their energy to be channeled consciously, rather than having them control us from the shadows. This desire remains a secret, often even from ourselves, for one fundamental reason. It requires a vulnerability that modern masculinity has been trained to shun. In a world that prizes invulnerability, certainty, and relentless strength, admitting "I want to become my true self" can feel far more dangerous and weak than stating a clear, external goal like, "I want a promotion." The pursuit of a promotion fits neatly into the established script of success. It is a desire the world understands and applauds. The journey of individuation, however, is an internal one. It is messy, non-linear, and has no clear, society-approved finish line. It demands that a man admit he is not a finished product, that he has hidden weaknesses, unhealed wounds, and unexplored depths. This admission feels like surrendering the very mask that has protected him and earned him respect. To embark on this path is to willingly step into the unknown, to trade the comfortable prison of the persona for the daunting freedom of authentic selfhood. It is the ultimate act of courage, which is why, though the desire lives in the hearts of millions of men, it is a secret they keep, first and foremost, from themselves. If the journey of individuation were led by our conscious ego, it would be a futile endeavor. The ego, with its fears, its attachments to social validation, and its identification with the persona, is precisely the part of us that got lost in the first place. It cannot also be the ultimate guide home. This path requires a different, more profound source of direction. It requires connecting with what Carl Jung called the self, written with a capital S. The self is not your everyday consciousness or your personality. It is the central archetype of wholeness and the regulating core of your entire psyche. It is the blueprint of your fullest, most complete potential, the latent image of the person you are destined to become through the process of integration. Where the ego is a small island of conscious awareness, the self is the entire continent to which it belongs, the unifying principle that encompasses both the conscious and the unconscious mind. To make this concept more accessible, we can personify the self through a powerful and universal archetype, the wise old man or the king in his fullness. This is not an external spirit or a ghost, but a deep, internal pattern of energy within the male psyche that embodies wisdom, clarity, purpose, and order. He is the inner sovereign who rules not through brute force, but through authentic authority and compassionate understanding. He is the part of you that, beneath the noise of anxiety and the clamor of external demands, already knows the way. He possesses the long view, unswayed by temporary setbacks or fleeting praises. This is the archetype that emerges when a man has integrated his shadow. His capacity for firmness is tempered by compassion, his power is guided by wisdom, and his action is aligned with a deep, internal sense of purpose. The secret desire for individuation is, at its core, the desire to dethrone the insecure ego and to connect with this inner king. It is the yearning to let this deeper, wiser center take the helm of your life. When a man is led by his ego, he is perpetually tossed around by the storm of external expectations. what his boss, his partner, or his culture wants from him, and the internal chaos of his unintegrated complexes and repressed emotions. His life is reactive and scattered, but when he begins to align with the self, his life becomes proactive and ordered from within. Decisions come from a place of inner conviction rather than outer pressure. Challenges are met with resilience because they are seen as part of a larger journey. His actions are no longer just for personal gain, but are expressions of a more meaningful purpose. The ultimate goal of the journey is not to destroy the ego, but to establish a right relationship between the ego and the self, where the conscious mind willingly serves the wisdom of the deeper, greater whole. Understanding this profound desire is the first step, but the journey itself is walked through deliberate, consistent practice. It is a path of active engagement with your own inner world. The first and most accessible gate is the practice of self-reflection and journaling, specifically aimed at shadow work. This begins not by staring into a void, but by observing your projections. Pay close attention to the traits in others that trigger instant, intense irritation or judgment in you. That colleague you find unbearably arrogant. That friend you see as weak and indecisive. These powerful reactions are often clues. What we cannot tolerate in others is frequently a disowned part of ourselves, a quality we have been taught to repress. Ask yourself, when was I not allowed to be assertive? Where did I learn that vulnerability was dangerous? By honestly answering these questions in writing, you begin to withdraw these projections and reclaim the energy you've spent on hiding these parts. To go even deeper, you can engage in a more advanced Jungian technique known as active imagination. This is not mere daydreaming. It is a conscious, intentional dialogue with the contents of your unconscious. When a powerful figure appears in a dream, a threatening shadow, a wise elder, a lost child, or when a dominant emotion like anxiety or a critical inner voice consumes you, you can engage it in conversation. In a quiet space, you can mentally, or through journaling, ask that figure or personified emotion a question. Ask your inner critic what it is trying to protect you from. Ask your inner coward what it needs to feel safe. This process is not about rational analysis, but about giving a voice to the silenced parts of your psyche, allowing the unconscious to communicate on its own terms. The goal is to build a bridge of understanding between your conscious ego and these autonomous complexes, facilitating the integration that is the heart of individuation. Alongside this inner work, it is vital to engage in non-goal-oriented creativity and play. The critical, logical ego is the guardian of the persona, and it often blocks the flow of unconscious material. Activities like free drawing, building with your hands, writing without an outline, or making music without the pressure to perform serve to bypass this internal critic. In the state of flow induced by play, the unconscious feels safe to express itself. Symbols, images, and insights that your conscious mind would censor can bubble to the surface, providing invaluable raw material for your self-understanding. This is not about creating a masterpiece. It is about the process itself as a form of active meditation and dialogue with the deeper self. Your outer life must also be reoriented to support this inner transformation. This means consciously shifting your focus from the pursuit of happiness, which is often fleeting and dependent on external circumstances, to the pursuit of meaning. Meaning is found in challenges, in responsibilities, in contributing to something larger than oneself, and in relationships that demand authenticity and depth. Ask yourself what projects or pursuits, even if difficult and demanding, feel inherently significant and make you feel fully alive. Finally, do not walk this path in a vacuum. Seek out mentors, both living and through what Jung called sacred texts. Immerse yourself in the great myths, epic poems, and philosophical works that have charted the territories of the soul for centuries. Stories of the hero's journey, from ancient epics to modern films, are not mere entertainment. They are roadmaps of the psyche, showing that the challenges you face are universal and that the journey, though solitary, has been walked by all who seek to become whole. This journey of individuation is not a quest for a flawless, polished perfection. That is just another mask, another impossible ideal to chase. The true goal is wholeness, which means embracing both your strengths and your shortcomings, your light and your shadow. It is about trading the exhausting anxiety of maintaining a facade for the unshakable, authentic power that can only come from profound self-knowledge. It is the difference between building a castle on sand and anchoring yourself to bedrock. The man who undertakes this journey does not emerge as a mythical, problem-free hero. He becomes something far more substantial, a complete human being. He is resilient, not because he is invulnerable, but because he knows his own darkness intimately and is no longer terrified by it. He can withstand life's inevitable storms because he has already navigated the tempest within. He is compassionate, both towards himself and others, because in embracing his own vulnerability, he recognizes the shared, hidden struggles in every person he meets. Most importantly, his life is no longer a reaction to external demands, but a purposeful expression directed from within. He is guided by a deep, internal compass that points unerringly toward what is truly meaningful for him. So, the next time you feel that quiet whisper of emptiness in the middle of a crowded room, after a professional triumph, or in a moment of stillness, do not ignore it. Do not numb it with distraction or dismiss it as a sign of failure. Listen to it, for that whisper is not your enemy. It is the most faithful part of you, your own buried self, calling out. It is an invitation to lay down your armor and begin the greatest and most rewarding adventure a man can ever undertake, the journey to reclaim the fragments of your soul and finally, courageously, become who you truly are.